Many members of the Democratic Party are the worst. And there's a new story proving that. It involves the Senate voting to nix Joe Biden's incredibly weak vaccine mandates that pertain to businesses with 100 employees or more. Now, the Republicans used something known as the Congressional Review Act to successfully pass this resolution with a simple majority. So they did not need 60 votes as they typically do in the Senate due to the legislative filibuster. Now, senators voted 52 to 48 on the resolution, which needed a simple majority to be approved. Democratic Senators Jon Tester of Montana and Joe Manchin of West Virginia voted with Republicans, giving it enough support to be sent to the House. Now, is this likely to pass in the House? No, it is not likely, but it's not impossible. So the resolution faces an uphill path in the House where Republicans aren't able to use a similar fast track process to force a vote over the objections of Democratic leadership. Instead, Republicans are hoping to get a simple majority needed to force a vote through a discharge petition, which will require support from a handful of House Democrats. But even if they're able to pull that off, just understand that the Biden administration, Joe Biden is going to veto it. He's going to veto it because it's his mandate. But there's also the added pressure from the courts. Some courts have unfortunately already decided or ruled that there are flaws in this mandate. For instance, there is the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals that wanted to implement a stay on the vaccine mandate because they want to review it and deal with its alleged flaws. But at the end of the day, our system is so broken that even though we're now seeing another surge in coronavirus deaths, not just cases, deaths, there are all these obstacles in place in our legislative and judicial system to prevent something as common sense as a vaccine mandate.
Yes, so look, here's one way of looking at it. Imagine that the coronavirus was even more contagious and more deadly. So like when they couldn't stop the Spanish flu back in the day, the plague, and it's wiping out a third of America, right? It's you go into a room with folks, you're gonna get it if they have it, right? And it kills even more people. I give you that to you as a kind of an extreme example to see, is there any boundary at which Republicans wouldn't say, freedom, man? Well, okay, but if we're in the same room together and you don't have protective mask, you're definitely gonna make me sick and maybe get me killed. What if it had affected kids instead of older people? Like, would everybody be okay with, oh yeah, the other side doesn't mind killing your kids, right? Exposing your kids to these things. Is there any, yeah, what's your sense? Is there any extreme where they wouldn't say freedom?
No. I do not think that there's any possible change in this coronavirus pandemic that would persuade the Republican Party to ignore their vested interests to do the right thing for the American people. It doesn't matter if it would specifically impact children. If children were dying as a result of this, I am convinced that the Republican Party still would not care. Because what they're more concerned about than anything else is keeping businesses open and ensuring that their stock portfolios continue to get insane gains. Like that's all they care about, period.
Yeah, and the voters have been brainwashed, the Republican voters, into thinking that anything that helps big business is freedom.
No, but you know what? I disagree with that, because when you live under the American capitalistic system that refuses to make people whole as shutdowns happen, I don't blame voters or ordinary citizens for being against lockdowns, because they're left to fend for themselves while the government gives them the middle finger. So I understand where they're coming from. The problem is, on the right, we have individuals who don't care how many people die. They want to keep everything open. They don't want to follow any guidelines. They don't want any shutdowns. Okay, and then on the left, let's say they get what they want. And when I say left, I'm obviously talking about the establishment Democratic Party in this context. Yeah, we're gonna shut everything down, but if you're lucky, we might send you a $1,200 check every 3 or 4 months, maybe.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but overall, the Democrats are trying to actually get this thing under control, and they did pass a number of bills with decent relief, right? The Republicans passed bills when Trump was in charge that mainly helped giant corporations, when Biden came in, that COVID relief bill, and we tell you when his bills suck, right? And if you watch this at all, you know that. In fact, we get tons of heat for how much we rip into Biden's fake attempts at getting you relief. But in the COVID relief bill, it was mainly to help the average American. So, but I guess, for the irrational and the brainwashed, there's nothing you could say. And they don't like big business either, to back up what Anna's saying. And they've been crushed by big business, so they have to do an end run around it. In that past, they would say, oh, well, big business is America, and that's why you should support them. And Republican voters used to go, yay, big business. Now they don't do that anymore. So now they say, oh, this show, you're not helping big business, you're helping freedom, okay? And if you were a real man, you wouldn't take any precautions, you'd go right back to work and make sure that you expose yourself and your family to danger. And that works, that propaganda works. But put them aside for now. For the rest of us that live in the sane world, is there a number, is there a disease bad enough, then contagious enough, where we would say, yeah, of course it should be mandated, whether it's through big business or through government? My answer is, of course, of course. Then you ask the next question, is this bad enough? 780,000 dead. How bad does it have to be? I mean, if I told you ahead of time there's going to be a worldwide pandemic, it's going to kill 5 million people, or if I told you it's going to kill 1 million people worldwide, in America we're going to have the equivalent of 100 9/11s, you'd be like, whoa, okay, yes, fine, we should have mandates, etc., right? And now it turns out, no, it's way worse than that. And still Republicans say, nope, no mandates, no precautions. I don't give a damn about the health of the rest of you guys. I'm for freedom in the mind that big business sent me into.
So there was a story yesterday involving a woman. I don't know how her car ended up near Niagara Falls, but it was submerged in water. This woman is obviously in clear danger. Her car is near Niagara Falls. And it was this huge story, right? And rescue workers managed to get this woman who was in her 60s out of the vehicle. They saved her from the vehicle, but unfortunately she later died in the hospital. And as that story was unfolding, now of course I want this woman to be saved, but I was just thinking to myself, everyone's eyes are locked on the TV screen right now, paying attention to what's happening. But in the background, you have more Americans contracting this virus, more Americans dying as a result of the intentional misinformation that's been spread through the media about the vaccine and about social distancing and all of that. And everyone's just kind of desensitized to it at this point, right? And look, and then there's the fatigue angle to it as well. It's been nearly 2 years. Our lives have not been normal for nearly 2 years, and we keep hearing about new variants. I can't help but roll my eyes when I hear new variants. Not that I don't take it seriously, but I'm fed up. I'm sick of it, right?
Yeah, we're all sick of it. I'm sick of the masks. I'm sick of all of it, right? So I get that frustration 100%. But I wanted to address one other thing that one of our viewers brought up. Theater Goddess says, wow, so I guess it is possible to get things through the Senate when you actually want to get something done. And so I'm glad you caught that, because this passed with only 52 votes. What happened to everything getting filibustered, right? But we looked into it. I know it's frustrating, but the one thing Republicans wanted to win on and had Democratic votes on is not subject to a filibuster. It's not that Democrats didn't want to filibuster it, which that's the first thing I thought too. I can't believe that after getting everything filibustered, they didn't do it back to the Republicans. But in this case, as frustrating as it is, they cannot filibuster this.
But remember, Democrats still have a slim majority in the Senate. And so I give you that because we should talk about Manchin and Tester. What was their reasoning for wanting to nix Biden's weak, and yes, I'm gonna repeat it, weak vaccine mandate for businesses? Manchin argued in a statement that the federal government should incentivize, not penalize, private employers whose responsibility it is to protect their employees from COVID-19. By the way, private businesses love the vaccine mandate because they are not protected from liability if their employees get sick with COVID or hospitalized from COVID. Also, it impacts productivity if their workers are sick or out because of this virus. So it's fascinating how he has latched onto the right-wing framing of this issue to make it appear as though like businesses don't want it. This is tyranny. It's just stupid. It's stupid. It's a stupid talking point. In regard to Tester, he added this week that he's not crazy about mandates. He's not crazy about mandates. Okay, sweet. Now, why do I say that the mandate is weak? It only applies to companies that have 100 employees or more. And there's a loophole. The loophole is if employees don't want to get vaccinated, they just have to submit to regular testing. Wow. And of course, there's exceptions if you have a medical condition that prevents you from getting vaccinated, or if you have a religious belief that prevents you from getting vaccinated. It's a weak mandate. But they act as if you have like Joe Biden breathing down your neck all day, every day, making decisions about every movement you make in your personal life. And that's just not the case.
Yeah, guys, so now they say, okay, I don't want the vaccine and I don't even want to be tested. So if I'm highly contagious, I want to make sure I can spread it to you guys because I don't care about you and I don't care about your health. I don't care about your life. I don't care about your family. The only thing that matters is me. So the conservative movement in this country has just become the most selfish, entitled, bratty, spoiled movement that just does not care about anyone else. That is its defining feature, complete lack of empathy. Because there is no conservative principle that we should endanger everyone around us. So it's unique to America because of conservative media. And so conservative media made up a conservative principle of you shouldn't care about anybody else's health. And if you have a disease, you should spread it as far and wide as you can. So even conservatives in other countries are much more stringent than Democrats in this country. Like, so the right winger in the UK makes Biden look like a massive right winger, right? And here in America, they're like, oh, the liberal Biden. Oh, now I guess if he won't let us take a contagious disease and shove it in your face. What a outrageous form of government tyranny. The right wing in this country, driven by conservative media, has lost their minds. No other conservatives in other parts of the world agree with that. Now, look, you can find random people, you can find small percentages, but as national movements in other developed nations, this kind of lunacy does not exist. They don't even understand us. They're like, you let your kids get murdered in schools because of guns. You spread coronavirus everywhere. America theoretically was the most developed country. You had the worst case of coronavirus in the whole world. Not a developing country, not a poor country. The richest nation on earth did the very worst job in dealing with this pandemic. What the hell is wrong with you guys? And the answer is media. Guys, people like Fox News and Donald Trump drove 30% of this country to lose their minds.
Hey everyone, as you all know, coronavirus has been pretty devastating for people's personal finances. The inaction in Congress or the very little relief that was provided by Congress, unfortunately didn't do much to help small businesses that were really, really hurt by being forced to shut down in order to slow the spread of coronavirus. There are 100,000 small businesses that have been closed since the pandemic began. Some of you might feel helpless, but luckily there's this wonderful initiative known as the COVID Rescue Fund. So all you need to do is go to covidrescuefund.org and you'll learn more about how you can donate or how you can vote and promote your favorite small business. And really the whole point here is to offer generous grants to help these small businesses. The COVID Rescue Fund crowdsources up to $100,000 for each individual grant. So we're not talking about a small amount of money. I've seen small businesses in my community shut down, and these are small businesses where I had relationships with the owners, and to watch them lose everything that they've worked so hard for has been absolutely heartbreaking. I really wanted to do something then, and I'm happy to see that there's an initiative that could help people get involved now. Go to covidrescuefund.org and donate. Let's come together and bring back as many small businesses as possible.